current affairs, facts and opinion, their future in our hands. Markets, globalist technocrats versus the people. A line in the sand. The McIntyre Report.
And welcome back, folks. McIntyre Report here, independent media, Australian National Review, live studios here in Indonesia. Mainstream media won't tell you the truth, but of course, independent media, we can talk about whatever we want. We don't have editorial control. We don't have someone over our shoulder saying, you can't print that, or you have to change it to this, or you have to push the Western BS narrative. So we're talking a little bit about that today, the Iran deal. But before we do that, we have a new trillionaire. Elon Musk became the first trillionaire in history today, or a couple of days ago. SpaceX raised $75 billion, the largest IPO in human history, 3 times bigger than the previous record, which was set by the Saudi oil company. Must say, worth just crossed 1.1 trillion, and the stock hasn't even started trading yet, which is interesting because Elon Musk, for 2 decades, SpaceX was a private company. Musk repeatedly said he had no interest in subjecting the company to public market pressure. Clearly, that changed in recent days. 75 billion raised in a single offering. The previous record was just 26 billion by the Saudi oil company back in 2019. SpaceX raised nearly 3 times that amount in one transaction. Crazy amount. What will this mean for investors? Well, it's interesting because the IPO structure itself was unconventional. 555 million shares offered, priced at $135 each. SpaceX skipped the usual price range process entirely. It was the way that was done raises many red flags. Inside that 1.77 trillion, the value of it are 2 very different businesses. You've got Starlink, of course, profitable, growing, 4 million subscribers globally. It's a cash machine. Starlink is its real business. XAI operating at massive losses, both bundled in the same public company. 1.77 trillion, as you mentioned, for comparison, that is larger than GDP of Canada, larger than GDP of Russia. So interesting. Musk is a trillionaire. It's likely that retail investors are going to, I don't know, they might do okay, but I don't think I'll be buying in the retail. It's a very small amount. It's a classic pump before the markets. Why do they go to the market now? Probably because they know the markets are changing. And this could be one of the biggest pumps of a company ever to get it out there. Not that it doesn't have potential, but its valuation is so sky high that maybe in 10 or 15 years, it might be able to stack up to those numbers. But yeah, I'm not a buyer, but I'm not here to give you financial advice. There's plenty of good deals out there. The way this is structured, I just don't think it's good for the average person, but certainly good for Mr. Musk. Good on him. Let's look at some other news, what's going on in the world right now. Let's look at the size of the economies. This is interesting. Well, let's look at the future of the population.
This chart shows the future of the world's population by seeing where every baby was born last year. 132 million babies were born in 2025, but less than 5% of them were born in Europe. Pakistan alone had more newborns than the whole European continent, a country with around 1% of Europe's GDP. Nearly 1 in 6 babies born on Earth is Indian. India's 23 million births are nearly triple the total of China, which sits in second place. China recorded just 8.7 million in 2025, down 17% in a single year. Bangladesh saw 3.4 million births in a country nearly half the size of the UK, ranking 9th in the world. South Korea's fertility rate hit a world record low of 0.72, meaning that for every 100 Koreans today, only 36 children are being born. Africa accounts for over 35% of all global births, and that share is projected to reach nearly 50% by the end of the century. Nigeria alone produces 7.6 million, ranking 3rd globally and exceeding the whole of North America combined. DR Congo ranks 5th with 4.6 million, more than the United States, on a GDP roughly 200 times smaller. The babies born today will define global demographics in 50 years' time, so the future's population appears to be dominated by Africa and Asia.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then let's take a look at this, the world economy. It's good to know these things. You want to predict the future. Like here at Australian National Review, we've been very accurate at helping our readers be able to see what's coming ahead of time. That's because we obviously study independent news. We're not being fed Western propaganda. We refuse to swallow fake news media, which is Western propaganda, which is disguised as Western media. If we search for the truth, we realize most of the things being fed in media is nothing but a lie.
The world economy is worth $126 trillion, and just 5 countries own more than half of it. The top 5 alone control 53% of global GDP, with $67 trillion shared between them. The United States sits at the top with over a quarter of the entire world economy on its own. You could combine the smallest 168 countries and they'd still only rank third. China ranks second, almost 4 times larger than third place Germany. Africa's entire continent produces roughly the same GDP as Germany alone, despite holding around a fifth of the world's population. The UK just makes the top 5, sitting around 100 billion ahead of 6th placed India. Adding the next 5 countries, 2/3 of all global output comes from just 10 nations. India is the fastest growing major economy and is projected to overtake Japan to become third by 2027. Brazil just makes the top 10 and accounts for over half of South America's GDP. Looking at the top 25, these countries capture 84% of global GDP. Australia ranks 12th at $2.1 trillion and is projected to overtake South Korea in the 2026 rankings. That leaves 168 countries sharing just 16%, while $20.7 trillion between them. You can get this graphic through the link on my profile or follow for more.
Now, it's interesting also on that. Now, obviously in Indonesia, which is predicted by some to become the 4th largest economy in the world by 2050, growing 280 million people. That's 10 times the Australian population of 28 million approximately. A huge country, huge potential, has its issues. One of the largest democracies on the planet. I think it's the 4th largest population on the planet, largest Muslim population on the planet, and one of the largest countries on the planet, 17,000 islands. In Indonesia, though, in recent times, despite GDP growing at over 5% and an economic darling of Asia, its currency is in free fall and its stock market's crashing. Now, some would say this is a result of corruption, and it's probably a significant element of truth in that, or lack of transparency. Let's hear about that in just a moment. But is it more to that? Is it because Indonesia and the president, Prabowo, decided not to side on the side of America, which we know America is occupied and controlled by Israel, and is attempting to keep a neutral foreign policy, which I would suggest is a good thing for Indonesia, to balance between the American-Chinese empires and obviously the Malacca Straits, which is Indonesia has significant control over, not allowing flights of the US over Indonesia. Did that mean Israel turned on Indonesia, and Indonesia's being attacked economically by the banker-wanker cartel, and that's why it's under attack? But let's look at one of the reasons, which could be lack of transparency or could be a combination of reasons.
Indonesia's market is getting absolutely cooked. This is their stock market, this is their currency market. Now, Indonesia's economy was growing at 5% a year. There was a young population, massive commodities, and a 270 million population. So why was money ultimately leaving the market? It's because growth does not matter if no one trusts the market. Here's what was actually going on. Some companies on the Jakarta Stock Exchange, insiders own 97% of the shares. A small group buys up almost everything, then moves the price however they want. Locals called this stock frying. It had been going on for years and everyone knew, but no one did anything. Then back in January, MSCI, one of the most powerful stock index providers, stopped adding stocks to its global benchmarks. Every fund that tracked those benchmarks had to sell. They all had to sell at the same time, 80 billion gone in 48 hours. Then the government kind of escalated the problem even further. They created a fund called Dana Tara, and they handed control of Indonesia's coal, palm oil, and the ferroalloys export pipeline. It was a single fund, brand new, and no previous track record. Now, every private company that was exporting these commodities had to go through them. Investors then saw through this immediately. Whoever controls the gate controls the profit. And these investors ultimately left. Then the FTSE Russell, another index global giant, did something unheard of. They deleted Indonesian stocks at their index from the price of 0. These stocks were so locked up by insiders that they said, we can't even sell this, it's worthless to us. On paper, these stocks became nothing. And here's the thing, the economy was fine the whole time. Copper's up 28%, palm oil revenues are up 10%. GDP was growing, the country was getting richer, but the stock market was getting poorer. So Indonesia has 2 choices. Transparency, free float, stop centralizing exports and genuinely unlock a bull investment case. Or keep going like this and watch foreign money disappear. The bones are incredible, but right now the house is on fire.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Indonesia has tremendous potential, and I usually don't comment on Indonesian domestic issues, but certainly in geopolitical issues we do. But Indonesia, needs foreign capital, wants a lot of foreign capital, and I think on a national level they want to continue that. There's talk of the foreign minister introducing a Dubai-type zero tax for foreign capital to attract more of it, become a Dubai-type financial center. Even the president wants Bali, part of Bali, to become an economic zone, business center to attract low tax revenue. Even in one of our projects, mini city we're building in South Lombok, Indonesia, we're also lobbying to make it a economic zone, low tax, particularly for foreigners. And obviously, the Indonesian government, particularly in Bali, earned large amounts of money from foreigners flocking to the island to buy investment properties or homes to live in, as many are weighing up the options of buying a property in Australia versus Bali or Lombok or Vietnam or Malaysia or Thailand. And many are happy to relocate, whether it's for retirement or whether it's for young people wanting to start out. The cost of housing in Australia is astronomical. It's gone beyond affordability, and is the Australian property market, in for a correction? I've often said even there wasn't a correction, all it has to do is stop doubling every 10 years, and there's no point in buying property. Australian property prices have been where you can negative gear, and average person could become somewhat wealthy over a period of time. And we always taught our clients many years ago to buy just 2 investment properties in a decade, you'll pretty much be a millionaire. And that's been true for the last 2.5, 3 decades. But has that all changed? Negative gearing's been removed, capital gains tax been increased, 125 new taxes imposed in Australia. It's a great nation of taxing, and the people that live in it, is that because they know where you are, where the people that take most of the profits out of Australia don't seem to pay tax.
Hey, I'd like to buy some gas. Well, lucky for you, this is Australia. We got heaps. Great, I'll take it. How much? Actually, technically, I don't have it anymore, but my friend does. His name's Singapore Steve. Wait there, I'll just go get him for you. G'day, I'm Singapore Steve. I hear you'd like to buy some gas. You're the same guy. No, I'm not. I'm wearing a hat. And I'm, in Singapore. Would you like to buy some gas? Yeah, how much? One sec. How much did you sell me that gas for again? I think it was $83 billion. That's right. How does 105 billion US sound? Well, hang on. Did you just sell yourself Australian gas at a discount so that you could funnel the profits through Singapore so you can dodge paying Australian taxes? You want to take this one? I think I will. First of all, I'm offended. The fact that Singapore's tax rate is 6.3% compared to Australia's 30% has no bearing whatsoever on my decision to sell below market Australian gas to my friend in Singapore. You tell him. Oi, mate, is this legal? I think so. No, but he's the same guy as Shell Australia. Nah, he's wearing a hat and looks like he's in Singapore. So, did you want to buy the gas? Yeah, I'll take it.
Punter Politics doing a great job there educating Australians that reason you're paying so much tax in Australia is because others aren't. Australia, one of the most high tax nations in the world, one of the most highest property prices in the world compared to affordability. It should be one of the richest countries in the world, and it was. What went wrong? Is it heading to become an Argentina? Maybe not straight away, but it's these decisions that have led to where it is now. It's basically in all sorts of financial trouble. It's loaded with natural resources. Australians, you know how much tax Australians should be paying? Income tax? 0. Australians instead should be earning royalties and dividends. Why aren't they? And it suggests is because the multinationals, the globalists that control and run Australia and think Australians, offer Australians an illusion of democracy. You can vote for the left and vote for the right. You have some changes left and right, pretty much still owned by the same elites that will continue to take Australia's resources out of the country almost tax-free. And therefore they'll impose income taxes on the people at the highest rates. Income taxes were an invention by the Rothschilds. Rothschilds are the banking cartel group that also were the creators of a certain Middle Eastern state that loves to drop bombs on children and is losing a war against Iran. Iran just achieved a very lucrative peace deal with Trump. Trump's been claiming a peace deal for so long. Well, it's been leaked out, the actual peace deal. $300 billion reconstruction fund, $12 billion to be released immediately, even before negotiations were to start. US to leave military presence in the Middle East. Well, that shouldn't be too difficult because their US bases have been bombed to oblivion. They've been not telling you that in the Western media. Wonder why. And reports even today, more and more fighter jets, etc., military hardware leaving Israel's airports of the US. So is it real? You know, Iran has told Trump and America that if Israel continues to bomb Lebanon, it will strike Israel. We told our readers up front that Iran will win this war, just like we told our readers in the beginning in 2022. When the Ukraine-Russian war started, we said it's not an unprovoked invasion and Russia will win. And we look now, unless you watch Western propaganda, you'll see that Russia is methodically winning that war against NATO. Ukrainian proxy. This is a proxy for NATO, the globalist left faction Zionists, the Rothschilds. Where were they from? Well, they're from Eastern Ukraine. They want to make Ukraine Israel 2. Why? Because I think they know Israel 1 will fall. Of course, many people think Israel is the biblical Israel from 2,000 years ago, but it's not. It was created in 1948 by a satanic bunch of banker wankers that print fake money through the control of Federal Reserve. And they're the founders of income tax. So if you want to know why you pay such high income tax in Australia and America and other places, go and investigate, research the Rothschilds. They charge you taxes because you live there. It should be the other way around. If you elected a nationalist leader, a leader that represents the Australian people like you'd expect a democracy to do, there is no need for income taxes. The first thing I would suggest to the country is elimination of income taxes. We would start taxing our gas, our resources, say at a 25% export tax as an example. Australia would become richer again. We'd create more affordable housing. There's no excuse for excessive house prices. That's done from the banking cartel because they sell mortgages. The higher the house prices are, the bigger the mortgage they can sell you. That's what they want. They want high property prices. Simply, most of the property prices also is expensive because of taxes. You'd eliminate all the taxes at all levels of property market. You'd find houses would be somewhat affordable. You could easily build a lot of houses inexpensively, even in an island of Lombok, Indonesia, where we're building a mini city. Got to give credit to the Lombok ministry and government. You can drive when you land in the airport. You can drive and you can see tens and tens of thousands of homes built for the average Indonesian, and they can borrow. Everyone can get a loan. Everyone gets a loan by the government, and they, even though the houses might be 30,000, some of it can still be a stretch for some of them, but at least they're providing roads, infrastructure, and housing. How come in Australia the poorer people or the lower class can't get free government loan to buy a house? It's absurd. There should be no one in Australia doesn't have a property. It's a rich nation. You know how cheap properties can be built thanks to China technology these days, or pre-modular, etc. Is that why many people are fleeing the West? We'll be back with some more just after this break.
The McIntyre Report.
And welcome back, McIntyre Report here, Australian National Review, ANR.news. You follow our 24-hour news headlines. You follow myself also on X, formerly Twitter, Jamie McIntyre 21. We're censored heavily, but obviously people still follow us as hard as it is to get access to independent media. Australian propaganda, Australian media's got so bad, fake news. They're even running counterattacks on me. I just wonder why. Is that anything to do with the fact that I'm anti-genocide, as any decent human would be? This network, Australian National Review, doesn't support satanic individuals, evil people that want to drop bombs on children or innocent civilians. We simply think that's not necessary. And we object to that, and we're not anti-Semitic for suggesting that. Let's have a look at more of what's going on in Australian politics.
Australia's new hate speech laws are so broad and so rushed that not even the Australian government knows what they've just made. Whoa. Don't put out that video. Why? Check the punter's bank account. Oh, the check cleared. Hang on, so they don't want me to talk about how legal experts agree that this new hate speech bill is too broad, vague, centralises government power and is likely to have unforeseen impacts on the right to protest and free speech here in Australia. Yes, that money was given to us so that we would definitely not mention any of those things. Got it, yep. Good. Uh-oh. What? They're onto us. Who? Oh, only everyone on the internet who actually matters. No, not the Jim Bro intelligentsia. Yeah, and they are not afraid to tell it how it is, even when they clearly have no idea what it actually is. So what do they know? Oh, everything. Look. No. How do they know exactly who paid me off? I don't know. I think just alpha podcasts and vibes. Those hate speech laws just passed, didn't they? Yes. Do you think we could report these really smart Instagrammers to ASIO and have the minister designate them as a hate group through some opaque process that we don't quite understand? Then maybe have them arrested? Yeah. I'll look into it. Okay, cool. I'll catch you in a sec. It's all there, so just delete this.
Yes, very interesting hate speech laws. I just wonder what fake state created 1948 is behind the hate speech laws to prevent people talking publicly about the genocide that's going on right before our eyes, but we're meant to deny that or believe it's not really happening. We're only meant to believe in one that lacks evidence. The only one we're allowed to talk about a genocide, a Holocaust from many years ago where 6 million people apparently died, but no evidence provided. But we're not allowed to talk about one that's actually evidential in front of our own eyes, and we're told to ignore that. That's not really happening. These same people that lie about everything expect us to believe everything they tell us, but people aren't. And if you're anti-genocide, you're a bad, bad person. We need hate speech laws to stop you hating on those who drop bombs on kids. You would have thought dropping bombs on kids is the hateful act that should be stopped, not for hating the people that do that sort of behavior. It's an interesting world we live in. Indonesia. Of course, we spent a lot of time in Indonesia. Jakarta has become rated or announced by the United Nations as the largest city in the world. 41.9 million people have, Jakarta in Indonesia, the largest city in the world. If you haven't been to Jakarta, you should perhaps check it out sometime.
We just got to Jakarta and we flew in from another city, the 4th largest city in Indonesia called Makassar. So Indonesia has 280 million people and is the 4th most populous country on the planet. But unlike the 3 countries that have more people, the US, India and China, it's not a continuous landmass, but it has more than 17,000 islands. The main islands are Java, where we're at right now, Sumatra, Sulawesi, where we came from, and parts of Borneo and New Guinea, which are also some of the biggest islands on the planet. To give you an idea of how big the country is, we just flew for 2.5 hours to come here from Sulawesi, and that's not even 30% of the distance that you can cover when you're going from one end of Indonesia to the other. Our Gojek just arrived to go to the hotel, so we're heading there. So Java, although only has 7% of the land area of Indonesia, it is home to more than 55% of the population. More than 155 million people live on the island of Java itself. That's more people than in the entire country of Russia, which is more than 120 times bigger than the island of Java, just to put it in scale. The population and the economic activity of the country of Indonesia is very highly concentrated in Java, to say the least. We took a Grab scooter 30 minutes from our hotel. Right now we're in the Sunda Kelapa port, which actually used to be the main port, or one of the main ports for the Sunda kingdom that was based around this area many hundred years ago. So this was a very important regional trading hub long before the Europeans arrived. This worked as an important gateway linking the archipelago of Indonesia, or the islands around it, to the global maritime routes. All the way until the end of the 19th century, this port right here was the main port for Jakarta, and then it was moved a bit more east to a more deep water port.
Yeah, Indonesia, should check it out sometime. Growing emerging economy, and many Australians are relocating here, especially Bali and Lombok and places like that. And of course, other parts of Asia as well, because it has a lot more to offer than the expensive lifestyle that it now costs to live in Australia due to high taxes, high property prices, high cost of living. That's all we have for this episode, folks. But before we wrap up, Iran continues to make a mockery of Trump. Trump's out of the deal. Well, it's a very good deal for Iran. America and Israel won't be too happy about it, but I think Trump is just happy to try and get out of this mess that Israel tricked him into war against Iran.
What the fuck are you doing? You're fucking crazy, Daddy. You'd be in prison if it weren't for me. You're so bad. Oh, stop. Everybody hates you now. Everybody hates Israel because of this. Not me, though. What am I wearing? The usual. Until I have to shower. I'll FaceTime you then.
Yes, they're very good at trolling Trump. Good to see. Now, we'll be back with some more independent media, Australian National Review in our next episode. Follow us, nr.news, or Jamie McIntyre 21 on Twitter. Till then, take care.